What's up, Raider Nation? This is Black Widow, and you are watching the Raider Homer channel.
Raider Homer, this is Monster Mash 10. I just wanted to say you're doing a great job, man. It was a pleasure meeting you down at the draft. Keep putting out the good work, man. We need more of you guys around to represent the Raider Nation right. And look forward to meeting you at a game next season, or this season. And yeah, brother, take care. Peace out. Raider Nation for life.
What's up, Raider Nation? This is your boy Mike Summers from the Raiders Fan Convention, and you're watching the Raider Homer channel. Go Raiders!
Hey, what's up? This is Raider Ty Brown, and you're listening to Raider Homer podcast radio show. What's up, Raider Homer? Raider Nation repping good.
Hello, Raider Nation. Welcome to the Raider Invasion podcast. I'm your host, Raider Homer, and joining me are my co-host, Houston Raider Steve, J Captain Jack Rackham, and the Raider Critique. So how y'all doing, fellas?
Doing not bad. I'm doing all right, peachy and salty.
The salty captain. All right, cool.
Just ask her.
We're freeballing it today. You know, there's not a whole lot of news. You know, it's the 4th of July weekend, so happy belated birthday to Al Davis. You know, happy 4th of July to you guys. So, you know, like I said, there's not a lot of news out there. So, I know that, Steve, you were telling me that you were pretty upset about, you know, the fan base, the Raider Nation being ranked 17th overall. So maybe we can start there.
Okay. Well, I believe that myself personally and everything, you can't go anywhere in this great state of ours or great nation or even overseas without running into Raider fans. As far as fan bases go, I believe that the Raider Nation is probably one of the strongest besides the Cowboys, Steelers, and Packers. Would you gentlemen agree?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely agree for the simple fact that we're not just a statewide, nationally known brand. We're known worldwide. We've got basically booster clubs in almost every country you could possibly think of. There's Raider fans everywhere of all different nationalities, of all different countries, all different states. I don't understand how we could only make it to 17 when literally on social media, when somebody talks about the Raiders, it gets completely bombarded by, of course, the Raider Nation. So to me, I believe it's absolutely preposterous. And so I have to agree with you, Raider Steve.
Also, I would mention, I would say on one thing, and apologies for stepping on in there, Steve. You can probably finish off the thought here. I like the old expression that there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Okay, so this is a statistic. You know, this stat was thrown out there by X group measuring X, Y, and Z variables, and all the numbers that they had came up to number 17. It's just an arbitrary number. It doesn't account for various different things. So again, you can get most statistics that you want if you play it the way you want it to say exactly what you want. I pay little credence to this that we are the 17th rank of 32. Basically, we're at the top of the bottom half. And that's bullshit. And like I said, it doesn't matter what the stats say. It matters what is being shown on the field and how the fan base takes it. So I pay little credence to this, and I worry even two craps of a diarrhea bowl about whatever this is.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you, Sid.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. You know, it's like they're measuring it with X, Y, and Z. To me, it's like, how are they measuring that? You know, are they measuring that in, like, you know, sales, attendance? You know, the Raiders, their stadium it only holds, what, 50K, you know, right around there. You know, and then as far as, like, merchandise being sold, if that were, you know, a measurement that they were measuring it with, you know, the Raider Nation is, you know, like I said, we're full of entrepreneurs. You know, we always like to create our own brand in a way and make our own shirts, and you know, we call ourselves family, so we like to buy those shirts from the other people that are making those shirts. You know, and so maybe that kind of comes into factor, but I mean, I don't know, 17th overall. You know, we could take over a stadium. You know, we took over San Diego all the time. You know, whenever we went to New Orleans, you know, everywhere, Bourbon Street, silver and black. You know, so I don't know. I think that's a slap in the face. You know, because the you know, the Raiders fan base, you know, the Raider Nation started all the super fan, you know, dressing up and all that. They started all of that, and now you see more and more teams coming into that and doing that. So I think that's a slap in the face to the Raider fan base. Yeah, and I have no idea how they would, you know, gauge that or measure that. So I agree with you, Cap, too. It's just a number out there that's not really worth shit, you know.
Do you believe maybe part of it is because we tarped off Mount Davis? Do you think that has a little bit to play in it? I mean, if they opened it up, it'd be amazing how many more people would fill up Mount Davis if they opened it up on game day, say for the Broncos or for the Chargers or, you know, big games, Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, it would help Mark Davis, you know, in the city of Oakland as far as money.
Well, again, that's a yes and a no. The one thing about the tarping off Mount Davis is the fact that you have to have X amount of seats sold to get to have a lift in the blackouts. Having a lower amount of seats to meet your threshold makes sure that the local fan base is going to be able to see the games. Now, especially in this last year of it being a lame duck year in Oakland, you open up Mount Davis, and honestly, I don't know whether there would be enough participation with a disgruntled local fan base to even have the broadcast shown locally. I mean, that might be a win situation, but I think it could most likely turn into a lose situation. I think just having it that way for this one last year is just going to be the best of the options, because if you are a Raider fan and you want to come out to a game in Oakland, you know that this is the very last time you're going to see an Oakland Raider team, and obviously the quantifier there is an Oakland Raider team coming to that stadium. Now, the flip side of that is, and I know that there are people out there that want to keep the name, and I'm not going to delve into that issue, but there will be a time, maybe in the future, and I probably won't live to see it, but if and when the NFL expands, and if they are considering another team, eventually Oakland might get that team in years and years to come, but they won't be the Raiders. So if you want to see a hometown Oakland Raider game, this is your year, and you're going to be fighting for the tickets and fighting for the chance to get there. And with that being said, you're going to have the local fan base being able to watch the games, and that's only going to be the way it's going to be from years afterward. When they are the Las Vegas Raiders, they will be able to be seen locally in the Bay Area. But again, you have people that kind of turned your back, and I won't say specific names, but I know that will be probably addressed with specific names. But there are that will turn their backs to the organization and flip sides and even, you know, God forbid, become fans of the team across the Bay. And it's just the way it is. And there's nothing you can do about it, because if you are a true Raider fan, as I am, you don't care what the city name is in front of that name, Raiders. I've been a Raiders fan since 1972, living in Philadelphia. I didn't, know where Oakland was. Actually, I did, but just for my point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the city is. It can go from Oakland to Los Angeles with flirtings of Irwindale, back to Oakland, and now to Las Vegas. It says Raiders on the end. There is a shield. There is a pirate. There is cross swords. That's all that matters to me. I'm a Raiders fan, and that's just the way it's going to be. I'm going to be a Raiders fan. And, it doesn't matter what city it is. Yes, I feel bad for the folks out in the Bay. But you know what? If you are a true Raider fan, you will stick with your team. If not, then you will pack sand and go elsewhere.
Now, I'm sorry to have to go all the way back to the statistics part, but when we're going back to the statistics of how the fan base was rated and whatnot, I do believe that this was a direct smack in the face, especially happening on the week where Al Davis was born and the Raider Nation was born, on other topics over here, like how you were kind of explaining that we're going to be changing, that it doesn't really matter about where the name is, what city name is, about how it's the Raiders, and that's what we follow. A lot of people, I think, do believe that. I know I do. I'm going to follow this team no matter where they go. We could be the Mexico City Raiders for all I care, and I would still be sporting that shield. I don't believe that we're going to change the color scheme anytime soon, but I mean, it would be heartbreaking if we did, because it's such an iconic color scheme. And, we were the first in everything when it came to having super fans and being the first team to hire somebody of minority in a high position. We were always the first at doing everything. And I just don't see any reason why we would want to put any gold or anything like that in our logo. Like talking about new logos, they addressed a new patch that they're going to come out with wearing. I thought this was actually going to be the logo. When I was sitting there, luckily Captain Jack kind of squared me away on that before this podcast happened, is that, no, it's going to be a patch that's going to be put on their uniform. Hey, I dig it. As long as they're not trying to change the logo or anything like that, I'm cool with it. But like I said, it's going to a different city. That doesn't matter. California's got things going on there, and the Raiders decided to leave. I'm going to follow the team. And I mean, it's just like I moved, I'm pretty sure that they're going to move. And, that's just the way it is. I really don't have much else to say about that, but I mean, what do you guys think?
Steve?
Well, I think that, I was just thinking that, when you hear about things, you think about Buffalo Bills Mafia and Pancho Villa, rest his soul, God rest in peace. And you think about the Cleveland Browns fans, and you think about the Oakland Raider fans. I've had people walk up to me different times, and they say, "Why do you support the team? Your team hasn't been to the Super Bowl since the '83 game with Martin." And I said, it's the passion. We don't just hang up our cleats and everything when the season's over. We do this every day of our lives. We get involved. We go to different Raiders events with our friends. And we do this on a regular basis, once a month, maybe, but we're always getting together. You look at the people that when they do the fan polls on Facebook, it's usually between the Bills Mafia and the Raider Nation, almost always. Cleveland Browns are up there. We're just passionate. We live and breathe this stuff. We all do. That's why we're all fans, because, when it's, as far as the city and everything, I'm always going to represent the name and the shield, no matter where they play. I was a kid up in Chicago, so my first game on TV with my parents, the Hyde game back in '68, I believe, '69. But I've been a fan ever since. It's even when they're not doing good, that's when we support our team even more. We wear our colors. We don't hang it up like some fans do. We live and breathe the Raiders, and we can't wait to get this information about our team. We look at your podcast, Raider Homer, and all the other podcasts. The Raiders and Captain Jacks, of course. We probably have just as many, if not more, podcasts on YouTube than probably any other fan base. And we also, they portray us as being the villain because we get ratings for them. What else do we need to say? We're a top 5 fan base, in my opinion. What do you gentlemen think?
Yeah, I let me jump in here real quick because there's a lot going on. It's top 5, right? We've already mentioned. There are clubs in every state, and it's not just like one club in a state. There's 7 or so. You know what I mean? It feels like. And then, I know people from New York, Florida, California. I mean, I'm talking to everybody, and it's huge. It's huge. And yeah, I mean, are they really asking the right kind of people? Right people? Are they even talking to the Raider Nation? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. And as far as like city-wise, yeah, I mean, the Oakland fan base is legit, dude. I mean, they started it all. You know what I mean? But as far as the NFL coming back into there, I'm not sure, because the city tried to sue the NFL. You know what I mean? So the NFL's going to be like, no, wait, you came after us, We tried to work out a deal. We tried to get the Raiders to stay there. It just couldn't happen. And so when we left, y'all decided to sue us. So they may never get another team, which, I mean, I can't see those guys. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of them, dude. And, yeah, there's a few that want to jump ship. Let them jump ship. But there's a lot that are still going to follow the Raiders. Because, like, Vegas, you know how well we travel as a fan base, and so Vegas is a tourist destination. So, you may not see us in a lot of other stadiums, after we get to Vegas, because everybody's going to want to go to Vegas, because that's going to be the new Mecca, the new capital, You know, and so Oakland fans are going to go there. Florida fans, New York fans, and then the new fan base in Vegas. You know, so I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like.
It's all about marketing and networking and putting us out in front of the cameras, just like we're being put on Hard Knocks, you know, and I agree with going on to Hard Knocks, but now they've got a new miniseries coming out called More Than Rookies. Do we really need all of this publicity coming straight at us when we're literally trying to rebuild? We're basically starting off with a brand new team, whole bunch of new players with a couple key pieces from last year and the year before still there, you know? What do you guys think about that? Because this is actually kind of weighing on my mind. Is it going to be too much for our team to where we can get over that hump and actually get to 100% better than last year, like Captain Jack was saying, 8-8? I mean, that's a real good question, because I'm not too sure. Now, Hard Knocks is cool, but another miniseries now that's going to focus on the rookies.
I want to hear about that. There is a rookie series that's just about the Raiders rookies, or is it rookies around the NFL?
Rookies around the NFL. It's called More Than Rookies.
Okay, well, there you go. If it's all around the NFL, then shall we say the ass pain will be shared somewhat equally. You know, it is what it is. You know, the X amount of teams will be annually probed and all that other nasty stuff. Insert joke here. But, you know, it's about the rookies. It's about the NFL making money, and that's just the way it is. And, you know, this is first I'm hearing about it. But like I said, Hard Knocks is a it's what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? It's something that will just have to be dealt with. It's not a positive by any stretch. I understand that. But you basically you can't run away from it. You need to approach it and meet it head on and, you know, overcome it. And, you know, you do that, you're okay. And there are people that can successfully handle it. In fact, I will even go back to even last year where the Cleveland Browns, they didn't quite make the playoffs, but they were close. And they handled Hard Knocks. They had a young team like we do. They had adversity like we do. And they came through it. And in fact, the Cleveland Browns, in my mind, are going to make that next step this year and be a playoff team in that division. So the Raiders will be well upon themselves to look at what the Browns did. They'd be well upon themselves to look at what the Texans did a couple years ago. They actually were a playoff team with Hard Knocks. I think it was 2016, by the way, when we played them in the playoffs. But they overcame the adversity. They saw the cameras and they played through it. So it's not impossible. It's not the best of situations, but it's just something that is entertainment for the masses, and it's the NFL making money because they know people are going to tune in for the Raiders. That's just the way it is. But like I said, if you have stuff that the rookies, I mean, again, that's just something we'll have to overcome as well. And with the rookies that we have, at least the ones that I have had a chance to get to know of through interviews and other things like that, you know, and we're going to talk about Jacobs later on, but you have Farrell, you have Abram, you have Mullen, and Mad Max Crosby. I've seen the write-ups on these guys, and these are mature gentlemen that can handle things like this. And I have no problem with the fact that it's going to be something that just, again, they'll have to deal with along with the Hard Knocks and other things, but I think that they'll be okay.
Well, how do you feel, Steve?
I concur with what the other two gentlemen and yourself are saying. I know it's a distraction for a lot of teams. A lot of teams don't want Hard Knocks and everything, but, you know, with all this stuff going on, I mean, we all would agree that this is probably the perfect fit for Hard Knocks with all the different storylines we have going on, and Coach Gruden and Jacobs and Abrams and, of course, Antonio Brown and everything, and, you know, the move to Vegas and everything. So I think it's going to be a positive. It's going to be a distraction, but I think they'll be able to handle this with the professionalism that they always do. And I don't think that I think it's be nothing but positive, even though it is a distraction. And we're signing a light. I can't wait to get together and watch it with my Raider family and stuff. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. See, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I think in the last episode when we were talking about Hard Knocks, I mean, Gruden and all them, they know how to handle the media. I'm not too concerned about that part. Yes, they're going to be distractions no matter what. But if we can talk about Jacobs. To me, that's going to be more distraction if he doesn't sign and he starts to hold out. That's going to be like the first distraction, like because Richie Incognito came in, all the hoopla around him, nothing. Perfect and AB, all the hoopla around those two, nothing. All that's working itself out, but we're having a hard time signing Jacobs. Like that to me could throw a kink in something because last episode we were talking about how we thought he was going to help the team excel. So if you have a holdout as a rookie, like man, you're kind of hurting us. To me, that's more of a concern than Hard Knocks or these more than rookie show or whatever. So how do y'all feel about this potential holdout?
Well, I believe he's potentially holding out for $300,000 signing bonus, correct? Is this what he's actually holding out for? Why doesn't he get out there on the field and earn it? As far as I'm concerned, I believe that this is absolutely insane that he would actually hold out. I mean, I understand you want to get your money. You were homeless. I understand you used to live in your car. Hey, I've done that shit too. But, I understand you want that money. You want that guaranteed. It could change your whole life. But this, get out there and earn it. You haven't even had a professional NFL snap. Now, when you're playing college, you're not playing against elite players all the time. But when you get to the NFL, you're playing against nothing but elite players. So why don't you get out there, show everybody that you deserve that money, and then possibly by week 6, you're going to get that signing bonus. But get your ass to camp, and play some football. This is absolutely preposterous.
Cap?
Well, I tell you, and I might be wrong on this, but Steve will probably tell me if I'm not or wrong. But I believe the last time that the Raiders had a holdout in camp was a kid by the name of Gennaro Napoli, and he played guard and center for him. And he got into camp a couple weeks late, and they shaved his head rather awkwardly, so they basically gave him like a reverse mohawk. And he looked so horrible in it that he eventually just chopped off all of his hair. And it was dissension in the locker room saying, hey, kid, Whiskey Tango Fox over. But, he did himself an injustice. And he wasn't a high draft pick, but he was a decent, guard center. But he didn't last very long. He eventually bounced around to other teams. But it wasn't. It's kind of like a win and no win. It's not a win for the Raiders in the fact that Jacobs is going to be called upon to be a very key, essential portion of the offense. But somebody was talking to me about how they think that he's going to be, starting from day one, and that's horsebucky. Jacobs is not going to be starting from day one no matter how good he is because he has to learn the assignments. He has to do everything else besides run the ball. And he's still a neophyte as far as the professional game. He's going to be brought along slowly anyway. He's just doing himself an injustice in the fact that if there are certain things in his contract, milestones he has to meet in order to get the bonus money, him holding out is going to just be a drawback to him meeting those milestones. So eventually, I hope he figures out it's not the best thing for him, and he gets into camp. And if not, then he just cut his nose off to spite his face. And I think that we'll be more than adequately represented with Doug Martin in there. That he's going to be the workhorse of the club anyway, especially in the beginning of the season. And Jacobs is just doing himself an injustice. And once he figures that out, he'll be in camp. And it's just something that I'm really not I'm not paying too much attention to. I just think that he's gonna learn that was not the right thing to do. And it's still early yet. I mean, camp doesn't get started until the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. So, or actually, I think that's when the what do you call it, the vets have to show up. So if it's, let's see, about the 22nd, which I believe is the Monday or something like that, if he's not in camp by that day, then he's just gonna he's gonna learn that it's costing him money, and it's not just the $300K allegedly, per what Nate's saying that he wants. He's gonna get fined, he's going to get fined. He's going to end up costing himself money. He's going to cost himself time with his teammates, who's going to look upon him like, yo, Rook, what the hell? So in the end, he's just doing himself bad, and he's not going to be learning the offense. He's not going to be getting the reps that he needs. But eventually, he'll show up and figure it out.
How do you feel about it, Steve?
Well, I think that unfortunately we've seen what agents have done with professional sports. Look at Kawhi Leonard, who just joined the Clippers today. That's just an example. But I think what's going to happen. How many times have you heard about someone going in, holding out, and then they go in and they get hurt? They said he picked up the playbook fairly quickly, but you have to have your tail out on the field. You have to earn your spurs, as we say here in Texas. You have to go out and get the repetitions, just be in there. Plus, it's also going to hurt him with the teammates. They're all going to look at him like, well, who's this prima donna? He comes in walking in, and he's got to earn his spot and everything. I mean, it's just bad. I mean, this is the part of the offseason that I absolutely hate, because it's all about the money, and we all love the team because of the team. We don't care how much these guys are getting paid. We just want them to go out and perform, because we live and breathe this stuff here along. We just hate to read about $300,000, and please, some of us don't even make that in a lifetime. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to second that. I want to second that already, Steve. Does this show character flaws? Does this show integrity issues? Does this show any personality flaws whatsoever in Josh Jacobs?
Well, okay. So what I've heard is that he's trying to get a guarantee with injuries or something like that. It comes down to injuries. He's trying to protect himself. I mean, I get that, but this is the NFL. You know, they don't have, the best contracts are in baseball, in the NBA. You know what I mean? If you're going to come in as a rookie and try to change the way that the NFL does contracts, man, that ain't going to work. You know what I mean? You just need to kind of sign and get in there. You know, I understand that injuries and things like that, but I think that it's a bad thing for him, because, yeah, even though he might be caught up with the playbook or whatever, is he going to be able to block when those linebackers are coming in there full force? You know what I mean? That's the thing, you know. Is he gonna, yeah, and then of course, you know, these guys are out there stretching and they're getting limber, and is he going to be behind on that? Yeah, you can train on your own, but is he going to fall behind? You know, in our workout programs and things like that. And then the biggest thing to me is we all saw what John Gruden would do if you're unhappy in Oakland. You know what I mean? You know, Mac held out, gone. Mac's a future Hall of Famer, right? He was gone. You know, Gruden built a super team with the money. You know, and Cooper, right? Butterfingers Pooper, pissing me off, right? He's going out there talking bad about us. You know, but he's gone. You know, so I'm hoping that this doesn't go that far. I'm hoping that they can kind of get in his ear, tell him, hey, look, man, you don't want to screw with Coach Gruden and Mayock. You know what I mean? They're not playing games. You know, they're trying to win games, and rookies holding out is not a way to win games. You know, so I mean, I'm kind of glad we had those 3 first round picks, because imagine if we only had one and we got Josh Jacobs and now he's our first rounders holding out. You know, that would really set us back. Right now, as Cap said, we got Doug Martin. Sherry fumbles a lot, but he put up a productive year last year. You know, and I'm pretty sure he can come back and they'll get those ball security issues figured out. You know, and then we still got him, and now, you know, the weight's really on Chris Warren's shoulders. Right now, he really has to stay healthy. You know, because, I mean, if we got this holdout and all this, because, you know, he could go south. He could just not play, you know, or get traded, you know. So, I don't know. You know, hopefully Warren, Martin, and Richard, you know, they can lead the way, because, like we were talking about, this team is going to go as the running game goes, you know. So, I mean, it could be a huge distraction.
Actually, I think that it's a good thing for Chris Warren, because, again, with Jacobs not being there, he has more of an opportunity to showcase himself.
Right.
And because I'm not sure if he will make this team otherwise, but if he gets more reps, it's going to be, and he is successful in those reps, it's going to be harder for us to cut him, but it would also be something where we might be able to get a commodity for him. I like Chris Warren, and I like the fact that, you know, he might be he might be that number 4 running back, because you know that, you know, barring injury, and I'm not saying it occurs us, but you know it and I know it, barring injury, we're going to have Richard out there, we're going to have Doug Martin out there, and Jacobs eventually is going to be out there, and it's going to be that number 4 running back. and that's not counting the fullback, okay?
Right.
So it'll be good for Warren to get his reps up and see if he's going to make this club. And, otherwise, we know Jacobs is going to be making it eventually. I think it actually is a godsend to have this play out so that Warren might make himself much more of an asset this year.
And also DeAndre Washington.
I don't think.
I don't think DeAndre is gonna make the team. I mean, I really. And again, last year when we were up talking about Washington over Richard, Washington, in my estimation, had the more upside, but Richard has the more heart.
Yeah.
And that's why he was used more effectively, and Washington was more of an afterthought. And one of the reasons why Washington even made the team last year was because we had some injury problems in the backfield. So we kept both Richard and Washington, and he ended up both playing a bit. But if it comes down to it, when you have Jacobs out there, when you have Warren, who may or may not make it, you basically have the same running back in Richard and Washington. Same body type, somewhat same elusiveness. The measurables are about the same. Are you really going to keep two of the same running back if they both are healthy? And obviously, that with the operative word being if they're both healthy, which is why they both did it last year because one of them wasn't at the time. I think DeAndre Washington will get some reps, and whether he shows himself to make himself an asset for another team to pick up, that's on him. But if you're looking at the numbers right now, there's Steve's squad.
And let's just face it right there that if DeAndre Washington, he's the odd man out. Richard had some really good receiving yards last year. Just like to add that.
Yeah, and plus he can return punts. He's got more value. Richard does.
A lot of times you can.
I agree.
Just based on special teams.
Yeah.
Your spot. If you can play another position like a kick return, punt return, or anything like that, that will secure you a spot on the team because there's always a need for that. If you can do that and also be versatile and do all the other things for your normal position.
Yeah, I just think Washington's gonna, he's the odd man out. Richard just has too much value with special teams, third down back, things like that, secure hands, can run through the tackles, all that. Jacobs he'll eventually he'll be in there, and then we got we got Martin and Warren, but so let's go back to what we were I just mentioned like Butterfingers Pooper, right? Yeah, it's a slow news week, but he's out there trashing, the team left and right. Right? There were a lot of the Raider Nation that was pissed off about trading him, especially after the Mac deal. But this is, hello, Raider Nation, take a look, right? This is, Gruden knew, right? Gruden knew. He got rid of Cooper because Cooper wasn't happy. He got rid of Urban because he was unhappy there. He had to trade Mac because Mac wanted too much money. So, how are y'all feeling about Butterfingers Pooper? And all this trash he's talking about, the Raiders.
Well, being where we are, where the three of us are, we hear a lot about it, especially with the Dallas fans and how everybody's just running their mouth to us all the time. Oh, yeah, you gave us Amari Cooper. Yeah, well, we got a first-round draft pick and Antonio Brown. I'm not really worried about Cooper. He can go ahead and run his mouth all he wants. Dallas is having all kinds of issues. They're going to be in cap purgatory soon. There's no way they're going to be able to keep all three-star players, and I'm pretty sure that Jerry Jones is going to get rid of Zeke instead of getting rid of Cooper, so he's got some really bad times ahead of him. And, everybody knows what happens to Amari Cooper when he does not feel right. He likes to drop the ball. Yeah. The dude drops more balls than Darius Hayward-Bay. Now, give me a break, dude. This guy is out here running his mouth talking about the Raider Nation, and to be honest with you, he's really killed any chance of him ever coming back later on in his career, especially with as much smack as he's already talked. He's talked more smack than Bruce Irvin did back last year when Bruce Irvin was running around the damn practice field at the Falcons yelling that he was free.
Yeah,
And none of us are going to let that. I mean, none of us would want to accept him back. So what makes Cooper even think that we would even accept him back now? He better hope that he retires a Cowboy. You know,
well,
I mean,
I don't
because
think Gruden would never take him back. That's what, and that's another thing I wanted to touch on. Like, he's pushing the whole "once a Raider, always a Raider," saying, right? Like, do we, the Raider Nation? I've seen a lot of people come in and defend him. Hey, man, why are you talking trash about him, man? He's once a Raider, always a Raider. But like, really, with somebody like Cooper, somebody like Irvin, do we allow that? And, as a nation, we don't allow people, super fans that want to just turn their back on us right now, come back in, right? When, we're gonna say something there. You know what I mean? If we're gonna be hard on the fan base, what? Do players like Irvin and Cooper deserve a pass, or did they go ahead and just burn their Raider card? Cap?
Okay. First off, there are some issues here. I don't know. You use the term Raider Nation, and I've seen some of the accusations that Cooper made to Raider Nation, but I don't think it was Raider Nation. I think it was basically the Raider coaching staff. There's a difference there. Unless I hear otherwise, I didn't hear him talk smack about the fans, and that's Raider Nation.
Well,
now, if he was talking smack about, I'm sorry?
No, I didn't mean to imply he was talking about the Raider Nation, but I was just talking in general terms.
Okay,
right.
Yeah, okay, and that's the point. From what I saw, Cooper was saying, and I'm going to not direct quote but paraphrase, that he felt that he wasn't utilized correctly, okay? First off, Amari Cooper is a player. He has maybe, 4 or 5 years, not even that, in the NFL, let's say 3, and he is a coach as well? No. Okay, throw that shit out the window, and apologies for saying the S word.
No, it's okay.
But the point is that he feels that he wasn't utilized correctly. Well, you know what? If you feel you weren't utilized correctly, then you go to the coach about that. And as of last year, his coach was John Gruden. And I'm not saying that John Gruden is the second coming of George Halas or Vince Lombardi or some other, wonderful Hall of Fame coach, but he is the coach, okay? He has a Super Bowl win with a team, and I won't even talk about that. But the point is that he is a coach of good standing, that is a good offensive mind, and if he says X, Y, and Z, and Cooper says, well, I don't want to do that, then that's on you, dude. That's one of the reasons why he played like crap on a biscuit last year. He played better for the Cowboys, and all the Cowboys are saying, look what we got, look what we got. Yeah, you better look at what you got, because Cooper will have one good game, and then he'll disappear for 2 or 3, and then have another good game and disappear for 2 or 3. And he wants prima donna money. He wants like top receiver money, top 1, 2, or 3 receiver money.
18
Go ahead, Dallas. You go ahead. You go ahead and pay that man top receiver money when he doesn't perform at that level. Again, one good game and he disappears for 2 or 3. Go ahead and pay the man. Pay the man. And we got a number 1 pick for him, and I'm liking all the people that we picked up for him. In fact, let me see. That would have been was that the Jacobs pick?
Yeah, that was his pick. Yeah.
But, yeah.
What
that
a
was
coincidence, right?
So, okay, yeah, we got an Alabama running back for an Alabama wide receiver, and that Alabama running back presently is having some contract issues. Okay, if first off, it's an Alabama thing of prima donna, and I'm not trying to smack Jacobs that much right now. The jury's still out on him as to what this is about. But okay, Amari Cooper was not worth the money that he is seeking, and we got rid of a headache, and that's just a good thing for him. We got what should be a more productive player for him, and at that rate in the draft. So bye Amari, and by the way, F you, shipmate, and don't let the ass be hit by the swinging door of Raider Nation kicking your ass out, okay? So you have an issue with John Gruden? You got an issue with John Gruden, but the last time I checked, John Gruden was the coach who actually knows what the hell he's talking about, and you are a 3 or 4 year pro in the NFL that drops too many damn balls. See ya!
Well, how about you, Steve? How are you feeling about whatever Pooper's saying?
Well, the way I look at it is if you have a problem with something that's going on in-house for your work, you talk to the general manager. You don't try to jump the shark and call corporate and talk to human resources. It'd be interesting to see if you actually sat down with the coaches in Gruden and really had a face-to-face before going public. This reminds me a lot of Warren Sapp. If I found somebody more knowing than Warren Sapp, what do you gentlemen think?
I mean, like I said, I think that he's tarnished his Raider image. I can't stand him. You know what I mean? I remember when we drafted him and he went in there and signed. He had that look of disappointment on his face, and I remember everybody laughing about it and saying that nobody wanted to play for the Raiders. And then, it came out true that he did not want to play for the Raiders. So I mean, yeah, I'm glad he's gone, dude. And I think that it shows that Gruden knew what he was doing. And I think that the Raider Nation needs to quit defending him. You don't defend players like that. I'm sorry, man. You defend players that care about the team, that stick with the team, that understand that even though I don't play for you anymore, I'm not going to show you disrespect because, there are players that show up to those alumni parties that only played for the Raiders 1 year or 2 years, and they respect being a part of that team. And Pooper, his drop, that all his drops, that goes back before John Gruden. So, take a look at yourself, Pooper. You know what I mean? You got outplayed by Michael Crabtree, who Richard Sherman called whatever he called him. You know what I mean? Like, you weren't even the number one wide receiver when there was, like, an older number one wide receiver, that wasn't the best in the NFL. And he had a few good games, but if you go back and you look at the overall stats with Cooper, no way does he deserve $18 million. Not at all. Not at all. And I was gonna say, or I said last episode, man, Gruden screwed the Cowboys over twice. All right, he got a steal. He got a first round for Pooper, and then Mayock came in and got AB, who nobody can argue. AB is a much better receiver. Will be, even though he's in his 30s, still going to be better than Pooper. So we got him for a third and a fifth, and then we turned around and signed him to almost $18 million, made him the highest paid wide receiver. So we screwed Dallas again. And yes, I mean, if Jerry Jones is dumb enough to sign Elliott over Cooper or Cooper over Elliott, good, because Pooper is not. A lot of people come in, man. I remember defending him, saying he got 1,000 yards. He got 1,000 yards, but yeah, a lot of wide receivers get 1,000 yards. I don't know. So
I used to defend him a lot too, but I'm not defending him at all. Not anymore. Yeah. Especially when it did show his ugly face last year. He might have got however many receiving yards that he got last year, but he disappeared in games. There was times where he was non-existent. Yeah. And Dak would have to run the ball, and he would have to do all this other crazy stuff that he's not really used to doing, even though he's a run-first quarterback as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, really, Amari Cooper sucks. All right, he's basically a little bit better than Darius Hayward-Bay. That's basically how I put it. He's no better than a second-string wide receiver, and he doesn't deserve first-string money. But, it is what it is. I don't even have any problems with anything going on with Raiders right now, and not even any Raiders players. I mean, I think we're doing everything exactly right. We've made the right draft picks. We put the right people in the right positions when it came to the front office. Mark Davis is actually doing something that his dad wouldn't do, which is hire personnel who knows what they're doing and not try to take it on himself. Now, there is one problem I do have, though. What is Derek Carr doing on Twitter? Every time I turn around, this guy's tweeting about basketball. I understand that it is basketball season. Yes, whoa. But no. You're supposed to be focusing on football. All right? Not basketball. Not PUBG. I normally wouldn't get into somebody's personal life like this, but dude, you've got a lot riding on your shoulders. They have given you everything you could possibly need to take this team to the next level. And you're over here talking about basketball. Come on. Talk about some football. Talk about your training. Let's see you throw some balls around on Twitter instead of you asking about Oklahoma City and who they're going to trade.
See.
Okay, let me jump on this, please. Let me please jump on this. Okay. Nate, I love you, but shut the fuck up, okay? Here's the thing. Now, Nate, I believe you have a profession that you do 8 to 10 hours a day, 40 to 50 hours a week, and you get paid for it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And again, I love you, brother, but let me hear you out on this one, okay? Do you, on your off time, do your profession, or do you do something that is conducive for your mental health, like we talk about the Raiders on your podcast, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It's not very often. It's not very often because I'm always knees deep into it and neck deep.
Oh, okay. Now, wait a second now. Okay. You are knee deep in whatever because financially you're not at a level that young Mr. Derek Carr is, that he doesn't need to go out and, shall we say, do 40 to 80 hours a week working double time because he got paid, correct?
Correct.
Unfortunately, partner, we're not on $25 million contract.
Right.
Okay. So we're not afforded that opportunity. He's set, and the last time I checked, he was performing in camp. He was performing in his off time with people like AB and other folks that we're hanging out with. He is way deep in the playbook because if he isn't, he's going to get Gruden's foot up his ass so hard that he's going to have a bad case of athlete's tongue with the foot that gets jammed from his anus to his other orifice out. Okay, athlete's tongue. Now, I'm thinking that he is okay there. Now, if he wants to talk about basketball in his off time while he is not knee-deep in other things Raiders, I'm all for it. And in fact, I say do more of it because when it's time for him to be on the field and he's out there with his receivers and he's making sure he's barking at the right calls to the offensive line and the offensive line is barking the right calls, the minute that they start screwing up is the minute that you have a case here. And again, love you, brother, but shut the fuck up.
See, look.
Shut the fuck up after I say this. I just want to know. I just want to know.
Hold on. Look, this Derek Carr. I mean, you paid attention. You paid attention to Twitter, all right, dude. He was working with AB. They were dropping dimes in minicamp. He comes to OTAs. He comes to minicamps. He goes and works on the side with AB, dude. Yes, Cap's right. This is the time before we go into training camp that he needs to just let it go, relax, get comfortable, relax, get loose. He knows that playbook, dude. He knew that playbook when he went on that 8-game win streak without throwing an interception. Okay, that's when he started to figure that playbook out, and now he's at all off season to work out all the little kinks and whatnot. So he's gonna be fine, dude. Derek Carr needs to get his mind right. Just take some time off. Focus. Sometimes, dude, when I spend a weekend editing Raider stuff and all that, I gotta put it down and take a break. Otherwise, I'm gonna force it. It's not gonna be as smooth. It's not gonna be as passionate. It's just gonna be work. You know what I mean? So he needs some time off. Dude. Derek Carr is gonna play well this year, dude. It's just gonna happen, dude. Gruden doesn't have to, protect them anymore. It's like calling those little checkoffs or all this, and it's on, dude. It's on. I don't think this basketball thing is a big issue at all, man. Let them make friends out there. Let them talk,
Well, man, the only thing I gotta say is if somebody, and especially when it comes to mainstream media bashing me on a national level to where everybody can hear it, it would put a motivation, a fire under me to where I would not want to stop working for the simple fact that I want to prove these idiots wrong.
Yeah, but see, he already, look, dude, he got all mixed up in all that shit, man. ESPN calling him out and all this and that, then he wants to beat up that guy. Dude, no, man, let Derek Carr alone, dude. Derek Carr is a professional, man. And you know what? I don't give a damn what quarterback is on the Raiders, dude. They ain't gonna win. When Derek Carr, JDR was not the coach, okay? Derek Carr's the one that led us to that playoff, run. Dude, that was Derek Carr. Dude, Derek Carr has been producing in a dysfunctional organization. And thank God MD is cleaning it up, dude, because look, he's out of the media, and And Derek, there's no stories. We're digging for shit to talk about. And you want Derek Carr to get on there and talk shit? I don't want Derek Carr to get on there and talk shit. I want Derek Carr to get on there and have a good time, because I know he's gonna come in, and I've seen him do it. I've seen him put the team on his back and go and take and win. And that's with a coach that got pushed over in his own locker room. Now imagine this year with Gruden, who controls that locker room. And then Derek Carr, who can lead the locker room. It's on, baby. Go ahead and play. Go ahead and play around on Twitter. Go play with your little basketball friends. He's a basketball guy too. He was always playing basketball against Khalil Mack and trying to slam dunk and all that. It's just Derek Carr, man. You know what I mean? You can't. I'm telling you, man. Derek Carr is gonna be A-okay, dude. And I'm not worried about Twitter. He learned not to get wrapped up in all that Twitter bullshit. Now he's just out there having a good time. And I've seen it too. People come on there trying to talk shit. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. Man, quit typing on Twitter and you go do something. All right? Get your voice out there some other way. Are you gonna just type? I'm gonna type. Go ahead and type, dude.
Yeah,
but you don't know shit.
There's a lot of them, dude.
Hey, but anyway, Steve, what do you think?
I had a thought about that. Well, what I think is what's going on is all the players that were just concerned about themselves, like the Khalil Macks, Coopers, Michael Crabtree, all the I players are gone because there's no I in team. All the people that want to be there and think about the team first instead of themselves around the team. Isn't that ironic?
Well, I'm not sure, man. I don't want to say anything bad about Mac, dude. He got paid, whatever. I think Gruden did the right move he thought about the team first. I've never heard Khalil Mack come back and say anything negative. But if players are putting themselves before the team, that's where you're getting at, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then
Exactly.
You don't want guys like that. And that's why Cooper's gone. That's why Irvin's gone. But that's not Carr. Carr's not putting himself before the team. Carr is all about the team.
Yeah, never.
You know what I mean? He's just taking some time off to talk, about basketball. I think I'm fine with it.
We all do that. I am too. We all do that. You have to keep your sanity because, we all want to spend time with our families and music or whatever we like to do or whatever. So just keep us grounded because we all do that. So I'm probably one of the biggest car fans there is out there.
No, you're not more of a car fan than
Which
me.
is a Christian.
Yeah, I think that's cool too. Cool, man. Because look, that shows that he's committed to something, right? He's committed to his faith. Right. You haven't seen the guy change. Right. He's been in the league making $25 million a year, and it hasn't changed him. He's still a leader. He still practices hard. He still thinks about other people. Doing his charity and all of that. Man, let the man talk about basketball. I think it's a good thing.
He's going to be a preacher when he retires.
So cool. Even though we can't agree on this, I think we all can agree that selfish players come from Alabama.
Well, we haven't had a good track record with those players, except for Ken Stabler,
Hey, there's a subject. Ken Stabler snubbed from the Hall of Fame again.
No.
Ken Stabler's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
dude.
he didn't get his jacket.
He didn't get his jacket.
Yeah,
that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
About his family not getting the jacket, but they're going to give the Denver owner they're going to give his family the jacket. So he's being snubbed again, supposedly.
Versus the NFL. It's always going to be like that. Mark Davis has done everything he can to patch up that relationship, but there's still some kind of bad blood right there, And I'm pretty sure it goes back to all the the Raider rule number 1, right? So that's where we're at. I would think that if that's why they shunned that team. That's why. Who else isn't in there? From that era. There's a bunch of them in there. And then even in the early '80s, Flores and Plunkett's not in there, dude. Because Al Davis was feuding with the NFL at that point. You could tell that he loved getting that trophy from Pete. When they were, because that's right, when they were in the middle of the lawsuits and all that. So there's still some bad blood there with that team, I think, and that's why in that era, from the '70s to early '80s, there's still some bad blood. But whatever, and I think it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that Cliff Branch is not in there. It's sad. What do you think, Cap?
It is. And the fact is, when you look at statistics, Cliff Branch and Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, Cliff Branch is equal, if not greater, statistically than those guys are. With the only exception is that those guys have one more Super Bowl ring. So what? Okay, Cliff Branch was it for the NFL member? What is it? The members of the '70s? You know, the team of the '70s.
Yeah.
Cliff Branch was one of the wide receivers, if I'm not mistaken. So you look at his worth and what he has done, and Cliff Branch is definitely worthy of the Hall of Fame. That's for sure. The unfortunate thing is that it took Stabler years to make the Hall of Fame because of, and Steve might be able to back me up on this, but the talk was, and again, this is just conjecture, the talk was that Kenny, in his younger days, diddled a young lady who just happened to be the wife of Paul Zimmerman, one of the more influential people that cast ballots for the Hall of Fame, Dr. Z of Sports Illustrated. And Dr. Z was on his big old boom, boom drum banging against how Kenny Stabler shouldn't be in the Hall. Kenny shouldn't be in the Hall. And the fact is because allegedly, I can say this again, allegedly, Kenny diddled his wife and Z got all pissed off about it, okay? So Kenny did make the Hall of Fame, but after he was no longer with us on this earth, which would suck. So he didn't even get the satisfaction of knowing that he made it. And it is a crime that the family doesn't get his jacket. That is a crime. I mean, to be honest, what's it cost for one jacket that has the Hall of Fame patch on it in certain sizes? I mean, you know what? For all I care, what we should do is we should get a GoFundMe and buy a no shit gold jacket that has all the specs of a Hall of Fame jacket and present it to Kendra and Alexa and Kim and all the other folks that really care. You know, the fact that it's not presented by the NFL is just the fact that it's a snub on them for being butt plugs. So I say, and actually I'll probably, if I get a chance to talk to Kendra on this, it'd be something that I would do. But, you know, the fact is that Kenny made the Hall. They do get a Hall of Fame ring, if I'm not mistaken. I do think that they at least get that. They should get a jacket, we should do something about that. The point is that if they're giving Boland a jacket, you know, and he's dead, that is, you know, what is it? Double standards amongst double standards. But it's the way the NFL works. You know, the Boland family, the fact that he was an owner, he has more clout, he has more money, and all those other things, and they don't want to, you know, go down that road. It's just a matter of the NFL trying to look at the bottom line, and the bottom line is money, and that's just the way it is. It sucks, but that's just the way it is.
Steve?
Yeah, and another guy getting snubbed is Tom Flores. He still hasn't been put in there also, and it's because of the era where he was at.
Here, let's hear what Steve has to say about Ken Stabler.
Well, you know, he also didn't get the ring and everything, and the thing that really upsets me, this is the third time the Stabler family in the state has been denied they're part of the lawsuit and everything. And I'm thinking, think about what Kenny did. He's a big reason why I'm a fan of the Raiders and all of us. Look how much he did for the league. He was a great ambassador. So what about his Kenny Stabler Foundation and all the charitable stuff that he did? You know, we've all made mistakes in our life. We own up to it. We move on. I think the NFL is being petty. And I think there's maybe some owners out there that have a personal grudge against him or people in the media because, you know, maybe they caught him on an off day or something happened. This is ridiculous. I mean, look at the integrity of the game. They keep talking about it. You know, why don't they own up and say we made a mistake and give him his ring, give him his insurance money that he never got, and sell it to the family. This is an injustice. It's a travesty.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, we're still the league villains. You know, even with all that Mark Davis has tried to do to patch it up, that yes, there are still owners in there and reporters and all that in the media that they still hate us, and that's a good thing because we're gonna continue to grow in popularity because I mean we're gonna start to win. You know how that goes. We start winning, boom, everybody's back. You know, and then they're gonna have to eat crow. And yes, and that would be a great idea to present the Stabler family with a jacket from the Raider Nation. I think that would be a great idea, to show that, hey, you know what, even though the NFL and the media don't want to do justice to your father, we will. Because, we are one big nation. It was all started by Al, the Raider Nation, So I think that's a good idea. I'd definitely, donate to that. But yeah,
me too. I think that GoFundMe would be a great idea. I think that should actually be addressed and actually even brought out and even pushed. Because if everybody in the Raider Nation just contributed a little bit, I don't think it would be even that hard to come up with the money that it would be to get that gold jacket and get it embroidered for them. Because what they are doing is absolutely outrageous. They shun our players from that era because of that era. And it's all because of that stupid lawsuit and because Al decided to move the team without the league's consent.
Well,
so that's really what it all stems over. Al Davis was a maverick. Al Davis did what he wanted. He wasn't going to have anybody sit there and tell him what he was going to do. I didn't know the man personally, but I do know the stories. I did read the books. I knew a little bit of history about it. He was actually the reason why I became a Raider fan, is because that's who I would want representing me.
Yeah, I love Al Davis.
Now, what Mark's doing, I love what he's doing too, but it's a completely different world.
Yeah, Mark learned from his dad. Mark was there the whole time. But he learned from his dad. I mean, don't forget, the Raider Nation was clamoring for a GM. They goddamn bought a billboard and put it up there asking him to get a GM. And Mark has done that. And Mark, I think he's going to repair the Raiders, and we're still going to have that villain image, because Mark grew up in that era, So, going back to what they were talking about earlier, we were talking about changing the colors. That's not going to happen, dude. That's not going to happen at all, man. Because Mark Davis understands the history of the Raiders. Now, if Mark Davis would have lost the Raiders, then everything would have went to shit. You know what I mean? They probably would have started retiring numbers or changing the outfit and all this and that. That's when things would have went south. But because Mark Davis is still there, the Raiders are still there. Because the Davis family is the Raiders.
Don't forget, Kenny passed away on July the 8th, so it's just right around the corner, so we'll do something special for him on this day.
Rest in paradise. Raider in paradise, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Raider in paradise.
All right, cool.
That's
so
right.
let's go ahead, now that we're all worked up, all right, let's go ahead and talk about your Heidi game story, Steve.
Well, I became a fan. I remember Aldi Rogati were doing the game. I was a child living in Chicago with my parents, obviously. I fell in love with the non-bummer and the colors, the shield, and everything else. I became a fan that day, so I watched it all the way through. The second game I've ever watched, that first game I ever watched was the high school game between the Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. We all know that famous game. And we're there at the game and everything. Of course, they cut away and they showed Heidi up on the mountain. And I'm thinking, hey, I've been robbed. I'm just a kid. And I've watched this whole game, and I was mesmerized by all the the artistry that Monica had that day, like Charlie Smith and everybody. But anyway, so they showed the thing, and I'm thinking, I never saw the end of the game. I remember the Timex commercial, that they had and everything, and everything about it. It's just such a vivid memory and everything. So at the end, they show the girl falling out of the wheelchair, trying to walk and everything, and she's crawling on the ground, and then they showed the final score, and I thought, this is really bizarre. I couldn't believe it. But then Joe Amos, I think there's a New York Post, New York Times that had Heidi on it and said all the different people talking about it. And they said, Joe Amos said, that's a game I wish I had seen it. And actually, they had someone call us going into New York at the switchboard at the NBC studios. They blew it up and everything. And when they came back, the fans were saying, hey, I heard you won the game and everything. You live in Chicago, everything east of the Mississippi, you never saw the end of the game. The only people that did were out in California and watching the game. It's something I'll never forget. And I thought, what a heck of a first game.
What about you, Cap? Do you remember that game?
I don't. I did not see the game personally because, if I'm not mistaken, let me see, 68. It was 68, was it not, Steve?
That's correct.
Yeah. In 68, I was pre-Raider.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to really get my Raider druthers on until 72, when I started going to school with Kenny Blanda, who is obviously related to George. But I do know a lot about that game. In fact, I get people on trivia about the game to figure out whether they are real Raider fans or not. Oh. And, I'm not going to give the question out here because, again, I'm going to use it to my good repair. But, again, the fact is that because of that game, the NFL policy where all games would be viewed through the end, and that people on X broadcast, if that was your local game, the NFL affiliate would stay with that game until the end because of that game. Like I said, the Raiders have had more rules that have been attributed to them or because of them than any other team in the NFL, and that's one of them. And that was actually something that was good for the entire NFL fan base. And the fact is that if it was going past 7 o'clock Eastern or wherever, it doesn't matter. The game will be seen. And if you notice that Fox actually has the show that comes up after the last game, they tailor their time so that it would probably end at 8 o'clock Eastern, and it doesn't affect the rest of their lineup. They do it the smart way. They have a broadcast of X amount of minutes so that the people will be, TV-wise, will be squared away so that they know at 8 o'clock the Fox broadcast starts or whatever. And at NBC, who with a bunch of airbags as their hosts for the NFL Sunday night game on NBC, they have their pregame starting, and it follows to a point where they know that at this time we're going to have our show. But again, rules are rules that are made because of stupid things. And the little pigtailed young lady that yodeled her little bajubis off in the Alps did the NFL a big favor that day by screwing up somebody's broadcast. So here's to Heidi.
Cheers.
Here's to Heidi. Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders have influenced the NFL, starting with the Heidi game, right? And then also, what was it, the Holy Roller, right? You can't advance the ball like that. What were some of the other ones? Of course, the tuck rule, the index card game. I don't know if they ever changed that or addressed that. But yeah, the Raiders, man.
No, they didn't. But you talked about Stickum.
Yeah,
that was
right.
Attributed to them. You talk about that you can't have if you have an injury, it costs you a timeout because before that that rule insisted the game would stop because of an injury and it wasn't with a charged timeout. So if you have an injury that lingers on at X amount of time in the game, that will cost your team a timeout because people would used to do that for free timeouts. There's also the spiking rule, which was the Charger game against the Raiders in San Diego. I can't remember what the receiver went. I think it was Jackson, the kid that was actually here in the Tampa area. He spiked the ball when he got the first down, and it should have been a continuation fumble. But they said that you can't spike the ball, and they ended up the Chargers ended up keeping the ball. And Mike Carey, who actually hails from San Diego, was the referee on that game. It's one of those things like, I wonder why the Chargers got the benefit of that call. Well, Carey was the head ref, and it was a couple different things there. Well, the final thing is you can't spike the ball at the end. They call it you're messing with the game. I can't remember what the exact call is.
Delay?
Not a personal foul. Yeah, delay a game. Yeah, they call it delay a game on you. Yeah, and no, not even really so great. It's a delay a game call. There are various rules that have the Raiders directly or indirectly attributed to them. And of course, you mentioned the tuck rule game. It only took about 11 or 12 years to get that one off the books. So, screw the NFL and the stupidity of some of its rules, which is why, and actually this is a good segue, which is why when they do the new rule for the officials looking at pass interference, I can guarantee you there will be at least 2 games where the Raiders will get screwed because, remember, it's a judgment call. It's a judgment call.
Yeah.
And that there will be an official that will judge against the Raiders one way or the other. Either the Raiders will not benefit from a Raider receiver being interfered with, or a Raider defensive back will be looked upon as committing pass interference, where they will have a call against them. Guaranteed, at least 2 games will be directly attributable to that rule, and we will be on the receiving end of a bad call because of it. Just mark my words on that one.
Oh yeah, when I saw that rule change, I was like, great. You know they're going to be challenging us left and right, and the NFL ain't going to help us out. But yeah, I mean, it's
a deception.
Go ahead.
Just like the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah, that ball was on the ground.
Right, the Immaculate Deception. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you never notice. You never see the bottom of the feet. You remember, you see the ball, but you only see the top of the ball. You never see the bottom of the ball on any of the replays. It's because the ball hit the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, the refs just wanted to get out of there with their lives.
Bill Connor was clipped on that play too.
Who?
Bill Connor was clipped on that play.
Yeah. But the biggest deal
by Mackinnon.
Yeah, the biggest deal though was that the receiver for the Steelers had made contact, and that was, you weren't supposed to be able to, advance the ball after the offense made contact with the ball. So yeah, we got screwed on that one.
Well, Frenchie Fuqua. Yeah, Frenchie will never, to this day, say it will hit him first. He gets really quiet by Frenchie Fuqua.
Well, and, it's also kind of like, it hasn't ended because the index card game, who folds an index card to find out on whether you got a first down or not, and then laugh about it as they're getting ready to announce it. So, I mean, I don't think anything's going to change. It hasn't changed since 1960. It's not going to change now. We're just going to have to fight through all this adversity and win it just like we did in 81 and 83. And let's not go. If you want to go back to the 70s, we won it then too. But we had to sit there and beat the referees. We've got to beat the other football team, and the only way we're going to have to be able to do that is by blowing teams out. The reason why we cheated so much is because everybody hated us, so we had to cheat to win because there was no other way to do it. So, I still think we should live by that motto, because if and Mark needs to stop being such a bitch to the NFL, excuse my language, but it's just, you can give the NFL so much, it's not going to change their mind on how they feel about us.
Yeah.
What about that game up in Pittsburgh?
Which one?
Well, they supposedly, when Noel was the coach and when they were playing up there in a big playoff game, they wanted to slow down Cliff Branch and receivers, so they didn't have the tarp on part of the field or something, or some kind of field conditions. They didn't properly put the tarp on it and everything. So the field froze to slow down the receivers for the Raiders, and they brought I think they actually brought it up to, hey, wait a minute, this is supposed to be covered, and I don't think all of it was covered.
Yeah, it was the 73, because in 74, it was either the 73 or 74 AFC Championship game up in Pittsburgh. The conditions were so icy that they didn't put tarp on it, and that they came up eventually. It was like, oh, it sucks being you, and it was because of Cliff Branch, and they wanted to make sure that he didn't have the proper footing to go past the defensive backs. So yeah, that's a good call there too.
Yeah, it's not like the Raiders were the only ones pushing the envelope back in the day. They were just more blatant about it. So hopefully though, all that, like you say, we're gonna have to overcome all the bad calls, all the calls that go against us, all the missed calls. That's the way it's been for us forever, and so this is gonna be a great year, I think, and as far as being able to show that we can overcome those, because it's been tough the last couple of years, but I think we got the talent to do it, because it's going to be a rough road, and that pass interference, being able to challenge that, yeah, I can see that coming back to bite us in the ass a lot this year, because they still like to play a lot of man coverage. You know, and so there's a lot of that jersey tucking right before. I mean, everybody does it. We're just the only ones that were getting caught for it for a long time. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of challenges out there. And then the other thing, though, you still only get 2 challenges?
Right, yes. I'm wondering about that, too, because if you only get 2 challenges, this actually might benefit us. But, I mean, or is it going to be from the head office? Are they going to be actually calling it from the booth?
I don't know, Captain.
I think it's a booth call.
Booth call, yeah.
So you'll just be able to challenge the call. You're still going to keep 2 challenges for, like, you know, whether you got the first down or whatever. But the booth, you're going to be able to tell the referees that was pass interference, and they're going to communicate with the booth, and without losing a challenge.
No, no. The refs themselves will take it upon themselves to look at a call to see whether it was pass interference, yay or nay. So it would be something that the booth will bring down. And from what I understand, and again, Steve, tell me if I'm wrong, but if a play is deemed to be one of those, hey, let's look at that, they're going to stop the clock, and that the booth will look at it to see whether it's pass interference or not. Now, whether an official or a coach can throw the flag on that, that's still a little hazy for me. Ultimately, the call will be made by the booth, whether it is or is not pass interference. That I do know.
100% correct, Captain. Shipmate.
Man, this is going to be an interesting year, man. Hopefully, though, that doesn't cost us in any W's, you know, because we're going to need every win we can get this year.
So basically, it's going to be at an official's discretion on whether they're going to be reviewing a call or not, and then they're going to send it to the booth. So they're not going to be doing every pass play, or just pass plays that they believe that their referees weren't paying attention. These are all real good questions, but I think we can all agree that we will be screwed by this call sooner or later. And hopefully it doesn't hurt us too bad to where we can still come through it and still get the W. Because to get 12-4, you can only lose 4 games, and that's what I'm predicting this year. And that having calls like this doesn't bode well for us. And especially another thing to look at too is going to be how many times are they going to actually do it for the opposite team and not do it for us during each game. That's actually going to be something that I would actually like to look into, because I guarantee we're not going to get any calls.
Isn't there something about the last 2 minutes that those are reviewable now? When in the past, there's something about a 2 minutes.
Yeah,
at the end of the game.
I do know that it's going to be that within the last 2 minutes, it's going to be one of those things that it's pretty much going to be like an automatic review on plays that are deemed to be, hey, let's look at that because it is the last 2 minutes of a half, and not necessarily of a game, of a half. And those are the plays where, you know, you're talking about scoring or not scoring normally at the end of the half or the end of the game. And that's what makes it really crunch time. And if those games and those plays are going to be reviewed automatically when it's deemed that it's hey, let's look at that.
Well, get ready to get screwed again, Raider Nation. Because I'm not thinking this is going to be a good thing. But, thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. We're coming up on an hour and 16 minutes. I think we got a pretty decent podcast, considering there wasn't a whole lot of news. You know, we got a lot of history, understanding of the Raider history in this podcast, you know, with Captain Jack and Houston Raider Steve. So, again,
thank you guys very much, by the way.
Huh?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. It's been very delightful and enlightening to listen to both of you.
It's an honor and pleasure to talk to all you gentlemen. I tell you what, we have a passion for our Raiders, and this is pretty amazing. I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait till the season starts. How about you all?
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait.
Always a pleasure to be talking with Steve, man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
The same with you, all 3 of you. Thank you. That was very kind of you to say that. I kind of feel the same way.
All right, cool. So make sure you check out Captain Jack's YouTube channel. Make sure you're checking out the Raider Critiques YouTube channel. And you can hear Houston Raider Steve on almost all the podcasts. So thank you, Raider Nation, for listening to the Raider Invasion podcast.
And I'm going to throw one other plug out there, folks. Make sure you're checking out not just the Captain Jack Rackham YouTube page, which is Captain Jack Rackham Levy, but make sure you're getting over to the Captain Jack Rackham page where you can have multiple people join in, because, again, there is a profile page, but there's also the Captain Jack Rackham page. Make sure you're over there also on the Captain Jack Rackham page, which is the Raider Pirate Captain Jack Rackham.
Awesome. Oh, and a quick shout out to the Raiders voice. He couldn't make it today. He was at work. You know, we missed you, brother. We'll get you on the next one.